All right, so we're going to hop into another video right now regarding Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. This is a bestseller book that teaches the genders how to understand and appreciate each other. And what we're talking about right now is this concept in the book where he says that there's 12 different types of love, but men really need to get 6 of them first, and women need to get a different 6 first. And so both parties are putting effort into the relationship, but we can't really appreciate the work the other person is doing without first receiving what we need to in the relationship. So it's teaching us kind of how to give what the other person actually needs. So we've already talked about the first 4 sets of needs that men and women need to get, and tonight we're going to be talking about the last 2. So there's 6 for men, 6 for women. So what he says in the book is that a man needs to receive approval as his 5th primary love need, and a woman wants to receive validation. So let's talk about that. So when a man doesn't object or argue to a woman's feelings or wants, but instead accepts and confirms their validity, a woman feels loved because her 5th need is fulfilled, validation. A man's validating attitude confirms a woman's right to feel the way she does, right? It's not we're all feeling because we're in touch with what's going around us, right? So to have a feeling, and to not have that validated is kind of it's off-putting, right? So it makes sense that we would say, you know what, I get why you feel that way. I understand that you feel that way, and I get it. And what he says is, one can have a different point of view without adopting that same point of view, or one can validate someone's point of view without having to adopt it. Okay, so that he's just simply saying that that's something that needs to happen for the woman, right? So when a man communicates this attitude towards her, he's sure to get the approval that he needs. So this is important. So when he said this, it kind of hit with me. He goes, deep inside every man wants to be his woman's hero or knight in shining armor. That's totally fucking true. It's totally true. Let's see. And this signal that he has passed her tests is her approval, right? So you don't get to be the hero if you're constantly the subject of all the griping, right? So you want the approval. You want to feel that. And I can totally attest to this, right? We want to feel like we are the hero, but we need the approval to do that, right? A woman's approving attitude acknowledges that. So here's the thing about approval. It acknowledges the goodness in a man, okay, and expresses overall satisfaction with him. So acknowledges the goodness, expresses overall satisfaction. Giving approval doesn't mean agreement. So just the same way that a man can validate a woman's feelings, giving a man approval doesn't mean that she's in complete agreement with everything he does. Rather, just seeing the good in him. And what was the other thing? My writing's so small. Expresses overall satisfaction. Okay. So it's easier for a man to validate after receiving approval. So interesting dynamic, right? Man wants the approval. He wants to feel like the hero. Woman wants the validation. She wants to know that her feelings are being validated and understood. Makes sense to me, right? So that's an important distinction. Okay, so the last set, what he says is a man wants encouragement and a woman wants reassurance. So I think these last 2 are like super important. I connected these a lot. So in the book he goes, when a man repeatedly shows that he cares, understands, respects, validates, and is devoted to his partner, right? So that's all the love needs of the woman. So we just ran through all the first 5. Her need to be reassured is fulfilled. That's the 6th. She needs to feel continually loved. A man must remember to do this. Okay? So what he's saying is, once you've given all these, the show doesn't stop. It never ends. And what he says is that men, and I've done this before, I totally agree that this is a problem, is that, we think, because we think in terms of track record. We think, and women don't do that, right? They're all about the moment. We think in terms of track record, so we think, oh, I did this on the anniversary. I've done X, Y, and Z. I bring home, the bacon. I do my duty, and therefore she must know that I love her because think about all these things that I do. But that's not the case. It has to be this continual provision of caring, understanding, respect, devotion, validation, which equals reassurance. It's a continual thing. And we forget that as guys. So this is our reminder, to continue to do this. And then he says a woman's encouraging attitude, so this is the flip side of it, gives hope and courage to a man by expressing confidence in his abilities and character. So again, when a woman encourages a man, her encouraging attitude gives hope and courage to a man, which it definitely does, by expressing confidence in his abilities and his character. So when your woman feels like you're competent and you're a good guy, that's it. That's that hero effect, right? And that's the encouragement. It gives us like that extra juice to go out in the world and smash our goals. We want the woman's support. And if we don't have that, or if we feel like we in her eyes don't necessarily stack up, it is going to take a little bit of zest out of us, Let's see. So when a woman's attitude expresses trust, acceptance, appreciation, admiration, and approval, it encourages a man to be all that he can be. This is John Gray's words. Being encouraged makes him, or basically motivates him to reassure her. So again, he says that when a woman trusts, accepts, appreciates, admires, and provides approval to her man, which is the first 5 love needs, then he feels encouraged, which is the 6th, to go out in the world and be all he can be. Amazing how this shit works, right? It's really amazing. This kind of blows my mind a little bit, and I'm super happy that I read this book. So what I'm going to find interesting is, because a lot of these love needs are very nuanced spins on love in general. And what I think is they're very nuanced ways to describe being present to the moment and giving your partner caring or just being there, right? And so what I want to do in the next video, and I think it's going to be interesting, is to take a step back, absorb all this, because I've noticed a couple things. John Gray leads with the man's responsibility in all these love needs, right? These are all my notes from the last couple of days, okay? So he leads with the man's responsibility. So I think that's fucking interesting. And it goes to show how I think as men, we are called to know what we want and make this relationship happen. Obviously, women are nurturers in general, right? I'm speaking in general terms. And they do so much to connect, etc. But I think as men, we are called to do our part, and I think it's interesting. So I'm gonna take a step back, do a little aerial view of all these things we just talked about over the last week. But that's what we got for today. Again, men wants approval. A man wants approval. Women want validation. Men want encouragement. Women want reassurance. It's a continual thing. So let's absorb that. We'll wrap it up tomorrow, and hope everybody has a great weekend.